sir, yes, ma'am. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's such a good time to be alive. I'm happy to be here. It's the Boom Bar on Boom Radio NG. My name
Mm-hmm.
is Shola Rogers.
And my name is Olajelpa. You know, the one and only.
Yeah, whatever it is, she's about to come for me. But before she does that, if you're joining us for the first time, we'll bid you a warm welcome. If you've been here before, thank you for coming back. And please bring someone, tell someone to tell someone to tell
Mm-hmm.
someone. What
Mm-hmm.
exactly do we do here? What are they even doing? What have they been doing for the last 3 years? They just come at 3 p.m. Nigerian time, come back at 7 p.m. Nigerian time, which could be whatever time in your side of the world, because I have my drink and it's just lemon and water, I think.
Yeah.
With a touch or something.
Yeah. Anyway, this is
It's a
where we
bar.
give you news about everything. Literally everything: sports, entertainment, politics, governance, literally everything happening around the world, health, and everything in between, in a very relaxed mode. Just gist, literally, like we just bring all the gist to you right here between now and 4 p.m.
And I like the way the was said laid back and it's just again. What we also try to do is to prefer solutions and look at things from different angles. Like we do the thinking for you, the heavy lifting stuff. At times the stuff that people don't want to do. We're not saying that people don't think. We're just saying that we make it easy. Like
Mm-hmm,
bring different
mm-hmm.
perspectives to things. So that is the boom bar, and there's a lot of stuff going on. For those who love football so much, who like um, the transfer market updates, a lot of things are happening. We'll be talking about that.
Yep. So yeah, those things are definitely
Nigerian politics,
Nigerian.
Osun State
Ouch.
elections,
Nigerian politics, Osun state elections. That's just
2023.
coming from a lot of states. Actually, there's news from Oyo State. There's news from Zamfara State. As usual, it's a thing. So I think that it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting to see these things. Abba Kyari is in the news again.
And apart from that, there's some sad news coming out of
Of Nollywood
Nollywood.
today. It's a
Two icons are gone, and it's really something that we're also going to take a look at.
So yeah, I think we should start from the gist about the vice president over the weekend. I think we should start from weekend news, and I think it broke on Saturday that the vice president was what's the word now? Was undergoing surgery. I think he had both posted it on his own social media, and then his media aide, had posted it that he had a fracture and that he was undergoing surgery. Then, the interesting part of that news was that the surgery was going to be done in Lagos.
Nigeria, Lagos, Nigeria, not
Oh.
Lagos in Brazil or Portugal.
Um,
Lagos, Nigeria.
Specifically, the surgery was done at I'm trying to look for the name.
Duchess Medical.
Yeah, Duchess International Hospital at
Yeah.
Ikeja GRA.
And it's a big shout out to them. And interestingly, he had been part of the commissioning a couple of months ago or a while ago, and all of that. And to think that, I'm sure maybe that's why he just made a mental note to himself. If there's a need, I'll probably be coming back to
Come
this
back
place.
to this place. But I have a few reservations. As much as I know that, I also saw a statement from his aides talking about the vice president had insisted that he was going to do his surgery in Nigeria.
Mhm.
I have a few reservations, which kudos to them because we don't see a lot of that. We see the president, we see the governors, we see, people in Senate, the House of Representatives, everybody jets out to find things to do. In fact, it's some health reasons is what so a particular senator literally has landed in jail in detention for right now. So, my reservations are a few questions. Maybe you will help me answer. Number one, is the vice president is obviously entitled to use the hospital at Asurok. Why is the hospital at Asurok not equipped enough for the president, obviously, and the vice president? That the vice president had to come down to Lagos. Not saying that Lagos there's anything wrong with Lagos. I would have just felt that there was enough resources to equip the Aso Villa hospital or clinic enough to carry out surgery, that kind of a surgery. And if there isn't, not saying that there should be completely, that's one. Two, there are a few, I won't even call it, a few, figuratively, there are a few federal hospitals from UCH to Luth to OAUTCH, and that's just even in the southwest alone. There are a lot of federal medical centers all around the country. There's a federal medical center in Abuja. Are we saying that these hospitals are not up to par, that you had to go to a private hospital? If they come and tell me that maybe it's for security reasons or those things, maybe. But as long as nobody has told me the reason, those are my reservations. Why not a federal hospital that is literally even advocated that a lot of people should go to, or a state hospital? Why a private hospital?
That's one.
Those are two things that I have. Why not Aso Villa, and why a private hospital?
Oh, great. So that's two. All right. Thank you for that question. Sadly, you're putting me in the spot, on the spot. And it's going to sound like, okay, you're not their guy. No, I'm not be their guy. I know be their enemy too, anyway. But what if I share your sentiments and I want to take it a step further? We know that there have been several talks of how the Asorok clinic gets a budget allocation every year. You get? Okay. And I don't know. I've shared this at the Boomba in one of our
Remember
episodes.
the first lady had complained about it a while ago.
Yes. So I shared this at the Boomba a while ago, and this is my concept of it. Like, I feel that the Asorok should be built in a way that even other African presidents will come.
So I was hoping that Asorok is supposed to be like a fortress.
One, because it's supposed to be safe, so it's there's no security issues like that. And two, the quality of the service that you get there is probably at par with what you get in Europe. One or two African leaders, once they get ill, you find them in Europe or different parts of the world. There was one African president that died a while ago. I think it was somewhere in Germany or God knows where. You get what I'm saying here? So I've always been of opinion that we shouldn't say that in 8 years of a Buhari government, he cannot leave us with a world-class hospital. So apart from...
Especially the one that caters to them directly.
Yeah, so that medical tourism becomes a thing of the past. It takes a lot of will and a lot of, can-do spirit to get it done. How can a country as big as Nigeria, as rich, as endowed, as blessed as Nigeria, not have a world-class hospital? Especially when, if there's a league that, or there's indices that they use to measure the quality of medical service as per personnel, Nigerian doctors will be in the top 10.
Yeah, I agree.
If not top 5 in the world.
Yeah.
In the UK, in Saudi Arabia, different parts of the world, Nigerian doctors are excelling. Most of them are trained at home. Yeah. So if we have the personnel and we have the system that trains one of the best set of doctors in the world, Why don't we also make it commiserate and give them a world-class facility where they can work to save lives, not just the lives of politicians now, but the lives of everybody. So I think it's a failure on the part of government. If you're even celebrating the fact that the vice president went to a private hospital in Ikeja, a lot of people say, "Oh, you should clap for him. He did it." Most of them go abroad. No, it's good that he went to a private hospital in Lagos, Nigeria. Keeping the money.
Yeah, there are hospitals that are good. It shows that there are hospitals that are good enough.
And if a private business can set up something that the vice president feels safe to go to, why can't the government set up something even better?
I'm lost. That's lost. That's the part I don't get. I don't know though, but I don't know. I don't know. I that's how I feel about it. Like, as much as yes, it's something we don't see a lot, but still, it's still not like 100% in my books. But anyway, let's move on from that. And before we go into a lot of things that happened over the weekend, because there's a lot of things talking about Osun State, which is really going to spiral into a lot of things that happened today.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, I want to talk about Nollywood. And this morning we heard the news that first a certain Nollywood actor who had come out a few weeks ago to talk about her mental health issues and depression issues and all, sadly passed away yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's sad, and let me put it like that, because this woman seems to have gone through a lot of things. I just last week I was watching an interview where she was talking about where her daughter had died in 2020. This woman died at 48 though. And when I watched that interview, she said she had that child at 14. So with that calculation, it sounds like this child is in her 30s.
Yeah.
Of course, for you to lose a child, especially a child that old, is definitely very, very devastating. I watched a video where she was talking about how she thought that her world had ended, and this was before, where she had lost 3 brothers, she has lost 3 sisters, and her father. And like she was talking about how you get, I'm sure that at some point you'll probably be numb. And she was talking about how when her sister, who apparently never had said she's a coach, she used to play football, she's a coach, that she thought she was going to be next.
Yeah, because that was her younger sister.
Then her daughter died. And of course, you don't go through all that pain and you're not, except you're not human. And of course, all these things, you can imagine all these things pile up, and then all of a sudden, we hear that she's dead. It's very crazy because, the few times that I see her in movies, she's always very jovial. In fact, I think what really made her really, really popular. Before then, in fact, I didn't notice that she was the one until I think somebody had pointed it out. I know that what really made her popular was this TV series, very popular TV series, The Johnsons, where she's the mother in the family. But she's done older movies with I think Aki and Popo and all that. She's really paid her dues. She's been there for like a really long time. But I think this is just very sad. It hits very, very hard because it's really someone that had come out to talk about her mental health issues.
Okay, we're talking about actress Ada Ame, and I have a confession to make. I need to confess. I honestly didn't follow her career. I'm not sure I saw any of her videos or movies or anything, and that I feel bad personally. Like, oh, how come I didn't know about her? No, but that doesn't mean anything. The aspect that I want to play up is 2 things. Like I said at the Boomba, we bring perspectives and stuff. How is a 14-year-old having a child?
Okay.
She had a child at 14.
Yeah, we don't know the circumstances around
That's what
that.
I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm not
Mhm.
trying to be negative or anything. I'm trying to say that there's something wrong somewhere if a 14-year-old had a child. But the best part of that is how she raised that child by herself. It might sound stupid, but I'm saying for her to have kept the child, people would abandon children and do all sorts of things, or even kill them, or whatever. But she kept that child, and she said they were like sisters. And she went through all of this. Again, having to witness the death of 6 siblings, 3 male, 3 female, and your father, which makes me assume that her mother is still alive, you know, and your only child. That's you having to witness the burial of at least 8 closely related people. It's not going to be an easy task. It's not something that would not affect any human being. We see our threshold varies.
No, but I don't think there's any human being that would affect.
It's difficult, you know. It's difficult. It's typical to the biblical. What's his name now? Job. You know. The sad part is in Job's case, he bounced back. In our case, man, she's dead. You know, she died. Now, those were some of the things that, you know, were just running through my mind. But what's most important for me is that what are the lessons for us to learn? As human beings, we get caught up in life itself.
Yeah.
We get caught up to the point where our own issues do not even allow us notice other people's issues. And at times, just a message, a text, a call, a hug, or something might actually save someone's life. We're losing our humanity. We're becoming more distant. We're allowing ourselves to be boxed into a corner. And personally, I'm not going to lie. I don't know where I got this feeling from, but I have this feeling that I cannot show my weakness. I can't.
I think that is also a culture thing.
Okay.
I think we were brought up like that, especially men.
Yeah.
It's sad, but I think that it's a Nigerian, is an African thing.
I can't show that I'm going through a torrid time. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Then, personally, again, I don't know. All my life, I've always been someone that people confide in a lot. And
most of the time, nobody ever asks how you are.
How are you doing?
Yeah.
You know? So I can relate to Ada Ame's mental health issues. Because we grew up believing that once there's a word mental before your name, you're done, you're finished, you're cuckoo, you're gaga, and you're beyond redemption. But having to work with experts in the field, shout out to Supine, that's the suicide prevention group that's been led by Dr. Emeka Ogbolu, Titi Tadi, and a couple of other
fantastic
human beings.
Yeah.
Having learned a lot from those guys, you find out that some of these things are beyond your own control.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same way you're going to get a headache at some point in time, or you're going to catch malaria if you're prone to it, or something. But again, some of the things can be better managed than they have been. So I might sound like I'm going off and on, but let me quickly bring it on by saying that please look around you. You see, your friends, the strong ones, at times they are the weakest. You know, if you can, even if it's not a distant relative, it's a close relative, once in a while, drop a line, check on people, you know, let them know that you're thinking about them at that particular time. It helps.
It does. I agree with you.
There are times, and there's nobody that doesn't go through a downtime.
Everybody does.
If it was
And the funny thing is that it's not even about money.
yeah, you took it out of my mouth.
It's not about
Get
money.
out of my head, Dolupo, because I was about to say that if it was even about, and you now said it's not even about money, like you completed my sentence. And why I was saying this is that you help look at the designer lady that killed herself. I think it was we talked about her at the boom. I think it was 2 or so years ago.
Yes.
She was rich.
She's rich. She's married. She had a
family.
family. Like it looked like she was
family.
perfect. Yeah.
Look at the musician guy that does EDM songs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He killed himself too. A couple of people have done these things, and what we're trying to say in essence is that regardless of what people show you on the front, please probe further, look out for each other. Let's go. And our condolences to the family of Ada Ame, but let's learn from this and say, please be your brothers.
Let's be our brothers' keepers. I agree with you.
Just look out for someone.
We need to.
At times, the strongest people, they're also going. They are probably the weakest, but they just are strong to keep it from showing.
So talking another person that sadly this one we don't even know what happened. Same way with Adame. For Adame, it said that she had slumped and she was rushed to a hospital and all. This person, we just heard that she had died this morning, and this is I think older people would relate to this person more, and it's in the person of Shola Onoyiga. You might not know that name, but you will know the name of Ireti in Fuji House of Commotion. Let me bring it back. I think she was the youngest wife.
Yeah,
she was the youngest wife. She was the youngest wife.
I think was she the one that was called catering practical? Catering practical.
Yeah.
Because she was the one that was always talking about cooking something different during Fuji House of Commotion.
Yeah, she was the youngest. She was the youngest of the 3 wives, and news broke today that she died. And the funny thing is that I remember that there was a time where I think was NTA. There was a day I stumbled on it. This was years ago, though. I think I was in secondary school, where I think they were showing. Of course, it's way older.
Fuji House of Commotion.
Then I think I stumbled on it once or twice. Then there was a compilation somewhere. And then I just sat with it, and it was pure comedy. It was not for people that know me, I'm not a fan of Nigerian comedy. But this was pure, unadulterated, clean comedy. And I was like, okay, it was just beautiful to watch. So I get it, like I literally could hear when I saw this, I could picture her face, maybe because I had watched Fuji House of, I'd watched a lot of episodes of Fuji House of Commotion. It's a sad one. Nollywood has lost another veteran. It's sad.
So again, our condolences to the family of Auntie Shola Onoyiga of Fuji House of Commotion, popularly known as Ireti, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again to Ada Ame, who, of course, both died in the last 24 hours or thereabout.
Okay, so let's move on from that. I'll move on to something, news that happened over the weekend.
Yep.
Another news that happened over the weekend, of course, that is still trending up until today, is the Osha State Gubernatorial elections, where we know that Davido's uncle, Demola Jackson Nuruddin Adeleke, won. Okay, why did I have to do that?
Yeah,
anyway,
that's his name.
But anyway, he had won. He won the elections against the incumbent Governor Oyetola of the APC, yeah. And according to the results, he had won 17 local governments. The governor had won 13 local governments, and then he won with about 28,000.
344.
Okay, please can we remove it off the table? It's kind of distracting. So basically, with 28,000 votes, some people will say it's not a lot. Some people will say it's more than enough. According to Nigerian Constitution, it's enough. And we know that INEC has officially declared him, I think on Sunday morning, INEC officially declared him the winner of the Osun State governorship elections. And interesting, yesterday, President Muhammad Buhari had congratulated him, like, almost immediately, like, okay, wow. But both the APC and the governor, at least Governor Itela is still the governor, and the governor have still not congratulated him up until now.
They have not responded.
They have not responded. Governor, I saw a tweet from him talking about how he's I'm trying to remember his. Can you remember what his exact
they're studying the results.
Yeah, that they were studying the results. That was what they had said. There was also some report where someone had talked about how they cannot say anything because the governor has not said anything, and then the party has also not said anything about how President Muhammad Buhari, as the father of the whole country, he's kind of obliged to congratulate everybody. He's not doing it as a party person. He's doing it as the president of Nigeria, which you know makes sense. The angle makes sense. But so, which we also don't know, because Governor Itola can decide that he wants to contest the elections in court. Yeah. It's well within his rights.
It could happen.
It's well within his rights to do so. And also, there is also talking about court. There is a conversation that popped up this morning. But before we get to that, I want to talk about the elections itself. Let's take off PDP. Let's take off APC, because as much as APC lost the elections, PDP had about 408,000 votes. APC had about 370,000 votes. Whether we like it or not, the APC might not have won, but they also had a large chunk of votes, yeah? Agreed. But there's an angle that I want to pick up. There were not just only two people that contested in that election. I'm just saying.
Yeah, carry on.
The Labour Party, at least, the little that I know, you need, what's it called now? There's the Labour Party contested, the SDP contested. In fact, just the week before that, what's it called? There was a debate with about 5 people that were in that debate. More people actually, more people contested. I think there were about, I can't remember exactly the number of people that contested in that election.
The channels debate at least 5 people, you're right.
They had at least 5 people in that. And the little that I checked, let's take Labour Party for example, who looks like has a semblance of a third force, yeah, had only 2,700 votes. Statewide. In fact, if you open Twitter and ask about a lot of things that is going on, everybody reporting it is only reporting the APC and the PDP results. Why? I thought it was like a huge third force.
Okay, so the third force is still in its infant stage. It's still being created. It's still growing, and I'm not going to write it off and say, "Oh, there's no third force." Okay, yes, the fact is that they didn't do well at the polls. There's no argument there. But
that's my issue. Like, what happened? Like, literally.
They didn't do well at the polls, but that doesn't mean that we're going to write them off already, because they're learning.
With these numbers?
I won't write them off because they're learning, they're moving, and they're trying to get things in place. You know, I'm talking solely about the Labour Party. You know, that they are, or the supporters of the party, you know, and the supporters of the Labour Party who They're moving. They're doing. They're doing their thing. Yeah.
2,700 votes.
Yeah, I think they're doing their thing. Yes, it was a very poor performance.
Extremely poor. Let's talk about it.
But yeah, nobody's stopping us from talking about it. But I'm saying that we shouldn't write them off just yet. They're going to learn from all of this. Look at the improvement. In Ekiti, their presidential candidate did not show up. There was no rally. There was no public show of power or whatever. But in Osun, at least he came. And
he came. Anyway, you give it to Labour Party. At least he won his polling unit. He did.
Why is there sarcasm written all over?
No. I remember watching an interview where the polling unit is inside the compound of his family house.
And so people can vote anything now. It's not open ballot.
So I think it makes sense.
All right, you're still listening and watching the Boom Bar right here on your Boom Radio IG. A big shout out to everybody that's watching us out there on YouTube. And
177 votes compared to 119 votes that the APC got, and the PDP got 98 votes. Please, it's a lot. He won his polling unit. He might not have won the elections, but he's proud to say, I delivered my polling unit.
Yeah, so that's fine. So
for me, let's just be coming down.
I think
our expectations, we should reduce our expectations a little bit. That's where I'm coming from with the Nigerian electoral system.
I'm saying don't reduce. I totally disagree with you, and I'm saying follow through, do what you have to do within the confines of the law. Don't break the laws, but don't let anybody tell you it's impossible. Just try.
Okay, still talking about Osun State, yeah. This morning, somebody had popped up and talked about put it on social media.
Before you talk about that, there are other things about the Osun election that we need to talk about and we need to analyze. The truth is, everybody thought it was going to be a walk in the park. Everybody thought that the APC was going to annihilate the PDP.
Yeah.
That's the truth. The general saying was, a lot of people felt that it was already in the bag.
Yeah.
You know? The APC had a mega rally. And I was saying it here last week. I said, Governor Yetola should not have stopped the PDP from using the stadium. It shouldn't have. For you to have used the stadium the day before, are you stopping them from using it? But look at it now. They had to look for some alternative, and look at what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing that I want to bring back to the fore. The fact that you are in charge of governance and government at a particular time should not get into your head to the point where you're denying people, basic things that they should have.
But you also know that the reason might be valid, right?
Okay, can anybody show us proof that the day the PDP was denied the use of that stadium, something tangible was happening?
We don't know. We have not checked.
We do, because I saw people who went and took pictures. There was nothing happening there the day after. I stand to be corrected, but I'm saying it now. The truth has to be said. That's our job. The governor of Osun State should not have prevented the PDP from using it. You see, there are things that you do, tiny things that you do that you think, I have the power, that would whip up some kind of sentiments.
Yeah, very possible. Yeah,
so,
very possible.
I stand by it. I want to give a shout out to INEC, the Independent National Electoral Commission. As they did in Ekiti, they did in Osun. Nothing different. The same
So
thing.
my question now is that why is everybody going on about INEC now? If it's the same thing that happened in Ekiti that happened in Osun.
That's their problem. I'm taking it holistically. Some people will want to use it for agenda. I don't have agenda. Whatever INEC did in Ekiti, they did in Osun, and it worked. In Ekiti, APC won. In Osun, PDP
won. It's democracy. It is democracy.
A shout out to INEC for doing their job. A shout out to the president of Nigeria for not interfering and signing that electoral law. So shout out to INEC again and all the people who came up with the draft of the electoral law. It wasn't a one-man job. Some people said they are the ones that pushed it. No.
Yeah.
The civil societies were invited. They had an input in it. INEC itself did a draft.
The deputy Senate president
You know, so shout out to all of them for doing very well, because this is what we're talking about. We need to move Nigeria forward, and in any way we can, in leaps and bounds, or even in tiny steps or tiny baby steps, we need to move forward. So for me, I want to say a big shout out to them. Now, there's someone on Twitter at Yinka Nubi,
Okay.
who did some kind of analysis, and I'm just going to read one of his tweets. You know,
Okay.
I'm giving him credit for this because he did this research by himself. He said in 2018, it took a total of 696,007 votes to elect the governor in Osun. In 2022, which was on Saturday, it took 804,450 votes. So if you look at it, it's almost 200,000 votes more. Almost, not exactly,
Yep.
but at least over 100,000 votes extra. You know, and he said that's 108,443, a 15.6% increase in the number of total votes in a state that has over 1 point something million registered voters. It is still poor in my own books, but an increment.
It's
when
an
it comes to
increase
the-
in
the last election.
And remember that
voter
Osha State had
apathy is
is
still
a major
problem.
issue. Is a major issue. We saw that happen from the Anambra elections. We saw it got a little better from Anambra. It got a little better with Ekiti, but still compared to the number, it was not even up to a quarter of the registered voters.
wasn't.
There was less than about 500,000 voters, and there are about 2 million registered voters in Ekiti State. Osha State has one of the highest number of registered voters. Yeah. Even though there was an increase, but it's not much. Remember, we're talking about in Lagos State as much as before. There is about 6.9 million voters as at 2019 registered voters in Lagos. With all this drive that is going on, there is less than 700,000, about 700,000 of new registered voters in Lagos State. Just about half of that number are even duly and completely registered. So we're talking about maybe 400,000 increase. So 400,000 with the 7 million, almost 7 million. What is the number of that percentage that's going to win?
That's going to vote.
That's going to vote. We still talked about it. There's barely 1 million people that voted in Lagos, a state that has at least, according to some stats, about 20 million people.
Of the 20 million, at least 30% of that, if not more, are voting age and above.
There are about 7 million of that number, and less than about 10% of that number actually voted last time. So even if all the people
10% of 30% is poor.
Even if all the number, everybody that registered now votes added to about the 1 million people, it's not really going to do so much. We need more people need to vote. It's not about winning. It's about actually getting people to get involved, participate in your civic right. It is very, very important.
So again, we're talking about figures and all of that. The PDP increased its tally, by 58.2%. Because the previous election they got 255 and 23 votes. And this time they got 403,371 votes. The APC also actually increased theirs. They got 46.8%, which gave them 375,027 votes, as against their 255. So 255,505 votes was enough to win the election 4 years ago.
4 years ago.
But
now 375,000 was not enough today. No.
So again, we've said it like a million times here. We should stop complaining about rigging, stop complaining about government, stop complaining about anything if you did not go out to vote. Because there are 2 million plus registered voters and they had only 800,000 plus voters. What percentage of that is the total? So these are the real issues. And it now shows with the electoral law, like real time, the elections have been transmitted, the results have been transmitted real time. So your votes count. Don't let
it
anybody
gets
tell you
yeah. You
otherwise.
know, as much as we didn't like a lot of things that happened then, it gets better. It really does get better. We know that with the advent of the PVC, which now, according to the electoral, you can't even vote without your PVC. You can't even use your TVC anymore because those the number of people that the machine captures to have accredited is the number of votes they should have.
So it's looking better for us as a country, and I think we all need to get involved. Don't get swayed by what people used to say, you know. And congratulations to the people of Osun State. They have at least 28,344 more people showed the difference.
The difference,
And it's huge.
It's very interesting because
there's a state that the governor who won 4 years ago or 3.5 years ago won with less than 1,000 votes.
you know the honest truth. Last time,
Yeah.
I don't even think Governor Oyetola won with this number
No,
of votes.
yeah, he did. Yeah, it was 255, like we said now.
Yeah, so
he had 255,000.
no, as in the difference between his own and
I'm not sure he got up to that number. Yeah.
So you know, at the end of the day, everybody, you don't know how many people's votes is actually going to make a difference at the end of the day. And before we leave that, there's some drama that is brewing, which we don't have the facts yet, but people have been talking about it. How someone with the name of King Retweets L, I talked about there is a case that seems to be in court that the PDP might lose the Osun State governorship mandate even after winning the elections. Now, this has nothing to do with any other party. This goes back to the issue of their primaries. You know, there was a lot of drama around the primaries. And just a few weeks ago, the court had declared that Adeleke was the one that is the eligible candidate of the PDP, which I remember seeing that news. But now, it is said that the particular person that took Adeleke to court in the name of who they contested the primaries together. Sorry.
So let me quickly take a few comments while you come up with that. Our friend and brother, Cornelius Makpo, says, beautiful people, keep up the good work. #Bomb Radio NJ. We got you, bro. Thank you for being there. And Bukola Medubi says, good job, guys. Thank you for all the updates. Thank you for always being there.
Thank you. So the person of I just saw it again now. Okay, yes, Dotun Baba Yemi, who are taking the case to court the first time, has gone to the appeal court now to ask for the disqualification of the PDP candidate. The court has disqualified him, claiming that he had the approved delegates of the PDP that voted him for the primaries, but it was the wrong venue, and I think the INEC officials were not there. So his primaries was nullified. Now he's taken it to the appeal court to say that there is an issue also with Demola Adeleke's primaries, saying that his own primaries has every other thing, but it were not the right delegates that were there.
Yeah, it's interesting how even the same person also now decided to campaign for Demola Adeleke. You get, and what people are even insinuating is that he's also done that, and it might be counterproductive. You know, so again, these are all kind of legal issues that are being raised.
We know that legal issues when it comes to politics and governance in Nigeria is a huge deal now.
So we try to speak to a legal mind, and he, of course, sent a message. Well, we were already live. He said something about how you never can tell. I'm paraphrasing, with the judiciary, that you don't know, but that the case might not be that strong. Because again, I know one of the people that I spoke to earlier said something about a locus, that for you to even push this case, you must be involved in it one way or the other. So we'll continue to
we'll keep tabs on this
on
one,
this,
and then
and it looks like a smoking gun, but if it's not, well, fine. But if it is, it might just be Zamfara
all over again.
And if you don't know what happened in Zamfara State,
go check it out.
You need to quickly do a Google of Matawale, Judgment, Zamfara, APC, PDP.
Yeah. So let's move on from that and move on to something that has happened, that also happened over the weekend, that's caused another reaction today. And this is also from Zamfara State. So news of Zamfara State is where in a particular locale in Zamfara, where a particular person who was alleged to be a known terrorist or known bandit was said to have been banned as the Sarkin Fulani of that town. And there was a lot of hue and cry that how is this person, how does the Emir do this? And, there was a lot of talk about him. Woke up this morning and the governor of the state suspends the Emir.
Yeah.
But my reservation, remember when this old things, when I saw this, I'm like, how come the governor had no idea? And that's where my question is. Like, even if you claim you have no idea, how is something of that sort happening in your state and you don't know?
All right. So a bit of background here. Zamfara State is a gold-rich state. You know. You know how we say oil-rich state for some states. It's a gold-rich state in quote, and they had a lot of security issues, banditry, kidnapping, and terrorism, and all sorts of things is happening there. And one of the most popular criminals, terrorists, and scary human beings is the Alero guy. He is said to have grown up within that locale. He is a Fulani person who people fear a lot. Like they're afraid to go to the farms, they're afraid to go out because he leads a gang of terrorists. And barely 2 or 3 years ago, his picture was splashed all over social media by the police as a wanted man. And people are shocked that the same wanted man is now being turbaned as the king of Fulanis in that area. That's the issue. So people are like, wait, isn't this the same guy who was declared wanted? Now, some people are saying, in fact, I urge people to look for Abdul_Donjay. Donjay is Donjay. Abdul Balarabe, who has written a thread. He has written 2 threads, And the first thread that he wrote was how Zamfara community substituted banditry with chieftaincy title. Meaning that a bandit was actually made a chief
to stop
banditry. And it is said that while the turbaning was going on and it was conducted, because this happened on Saturday at Yadonton Daji, the community said that the bandit, in quotes, grew up in that place, and they were like, look, stop terrorizing us, you're one of us, and blah, 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 blah. And it was said that, I'm quoting a tweet from Abdul Balarabi, Abdul Donjay now, he says, he also asked the communities to go about their farming activities without hesitation while assuring them of their safety. One of the community leaders interviewed during the ceremony, Alhaji Bala Yandoto, said government or any of the agents was not involved in the initiative because the community believed since all measures taken by the authorities had failed, the community needed to come up with an home-based idea that will prefer solution to their security problem. And now there's a quotation mark here. We deliberately sidelined the government in this initiative, but we believe we have to take careful steps to negotiate for our peaceful coexistence with these people, he added. Peaceful coexistence with bandits and criminals.
Like, for me, I'm like, is this where we are now? Really?
So, this is a sad development. I know that at times you need to bring creative ideas and processes into solving some niggling issues, but come on, guys. The guy is known to have created a lot of problems for that community, and now he's being rewarded with. But the governor, who this statement vindicates in a way, has now responded by suspending the Emir.
I don't think it's suspended. I think it should be dethroned. I think that a lot of things, even though the problem now is that
but there are pictures.
It is very is. I think that place is going to be very dicey, because if you dethrone this said Emir, you take this chieftaincy title away, except you have like a huge security plan for that town. It can. I think that they need to tread with care, with caution, but the minute they allow this work, it's going to become a thing.
So, it's a dicey situation, but I still don't think that any person that has committed a crime should be rewarded with a chieftaincy title.
So, moving on from that and moving to Oyo State. News broke today that the Oyo State House of Assembly has officially impeached the deputy governor. And in fact, they've even appointed another person.
Yeah. So, we've had a lot of discussions about this on this table. And I felt that the man had a plan and he knew what he was doing. He had a way to go about it. He even went to court. And I thought that he was going to be allowed to appeal the decision of the court last week that, paved the way for his impeachment. But it's funny how first business of the day on a Monday morning, the Oyo State House of Assembly, who are bereaved actually,
just a few days ago.
Passed on a few days ago. Put that aside, and the first business of the day was to impeach the deputy governor, who of course had crossed to the opposition. That is the APC in Oyo State. And of course, the governor is believed to have responded swiftly because he's contesting for governorship again next year. His running mate is the very respected elderly Bayo Lawal, who had served with one of the old governors of Oyo. I think it was Lamadeshin or one of them way back when. He's said to be 76 years old or so. I don't know. These are things that are flying around and all. He's going to be the new deputy governor of Oyo State. Legally, I don't know what the deputy governor can do now. I know that in Zamfara State, the guy also appealed.
But the case that was supposed to stop this was already in appeal. I know he had appealed the case.
I know. I'm just saying that if there's anything he can do, he will do it. It's obvious because he doesn't look like someone who wants to just walk away quietly into the night. And of course, the governor is not wasting time. He's moving on with.
But it's governance. At the end of the day, governance has to move on. So maybe we'll see if there is some drama that is still going to come out of Oyo State. We do not know a bit yet. But finally, before we go, I think there's a little bit of football news. Before we go,
there's a lot of football news. How there's always football news. The most important one is the Falcons and how we know that they are going to be in the fight of their lives against the host nation. They are already qualified for the Women's World Cup anyway, but right now they're going to be fighting
to get to the finals.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen to them. And again, as a Nigerian, I'm rooting for the Super Falcons.
To be honest with you, I think that
the most successful
Nigerian team. The female football team, you see the female basketball team. The females seem to be like doing a lot. This is if they win this Cup of Nations, it's going to be the 10th time they're winning it. they're a fantastic, fantastic team to come out of Nigeria. So we're all rooting for them. We hope that they actually do fantastically well.
Yeah, so there's a lot that's happening. Of course, we also are monitoring the football transfer market, and the window is still open. We know that Man United got their man Lisandro Martinez, the Argentine, and they unveiled him a couple of hours ago. But of course, Ajax sold him with the plan that they were going to replace him with a Nigerian centre back who also used to play for Rangers, just as one Nigerian left Rangers in a couple of days ago. Calvin Bassey is said to be, it's a done deal, but we're waiting for the official announcement by Ajax Amsterdam that the Nigerian centre back Calvin Bassey is now a replacement for Lisandro Martinez, who is now fully a Man United player. And Zinchenko is in the news. He plays for Man City. He's an amazing defender, and he's on his way to Arsenal. The deal is said to be done, but there's no official unveiling yet. But of course, we need to talk about that. Another one that's really trending now is Armando Broja. Is on his way to West Ham. He's a Chelsea player, and people thought that Chelsea had plans for him this season, but it doesn't look good for those people who thought that, because Broja is actually excited about making the switch to West Ham. And we talked about him a couple of days ago. We're talking about him again. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, the grand old man of football, signed a new deal with his team AC Milan, and of course it just basically means that he's still going to be around for another season. He's the oldest active professional footballer that I know of, although he's presently and currently injured, but you don't know what Zlatan is going to bring. Paulo Dybala, free agent, is already landed in Rome. He's going to be teaming up with Jose Mourinho, who had his tattoos trending yesterday when he showed the world the trophies that is one that nobody else has won. He has a combination of European trophies that nobody else has ever won before. So Paulo Dybala is teaming up with him to join the Roma and to continue the resurgence of that team under Jose Mourinho. So there are a couple of stories here back and forth that we are monitoring, and we'll
definitely continue to give them to you. So I just saw this now. Finally, before we leave, I don't know if you saw the story of a boy that used a mod to draw the first flyover in Borno State. Yeah, that boy. The governor has officially released 5 million naira for the completion of his primary school and his secondary school education into a trust fund for the boy to be properly educated. The pictures of the governor going to see the boy at home.
Yeah, the problem was that the first time he made a replica of the bridge with mud. He made this lovely bridge that the governor had just built. His mother destroyed it because she was worried that the volume of people who were coming to their house. Now the governor has gone to the same house. In fact, there's a construction company in Kaduna that offered to see him through school, and all of that. So this is talent right there, and encourage your children to bring out the best in them. Let's give them the things that we didn't have without going overboard.
Yeah. So on that note, that is all we have to take today on The Bar. Thank you for listening. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for the comments. We'll be back again tomorrow at 3 p.m. West African time. Enjoy. Have a beautiful day ahead.